Hello, traders, and welcome to the Traders Talk here at XM Live. I welcome also the traders in the community app and also on the website, on the members area. I am extremely excited about today's interview because of two reasons. I am interviewing today Marios Hatchikiriakos, and it's great to have you, Marios.
Great to be here. I've missed speaking to you, Jill, on air. It's been too long.
Yes, it's really been too long. And so I want to introduce you and telling the viewers also why I'm so excited about today's session. The first reason is back in the days when we started XM Live, Marius and me, we had a show that was called Traders versus Analyst. And we started the show and we had, I think we had great chemistry, and Marius has a passion for the markets, and his fundamental knowledge really pushed also my way of thinking about markets and made me a better trader. So Marios, I look back to our sessions together, and really you made me a better trader. So thanks for that.
You made me a better analyst and a better trader, Jill. So it goes both ways. I'm super excited to do one of this again. So where do we start?
Yeah, I will just add also the second reason why I'm so excited is we are talking about a very hot theme, which everybody is talking today about it, and this is AI. And I am super pumped about this theme. I think it's probably one of the biggest revolutions humankind saw, and we are just, I think, at the beginning of this revolution. So similar to, I think we are in a similar stage like 99, 96, where everything started with the internet. Now we're going to the next stage. So I'm really thrilled to talk to you about this. And you told me already a little bit about what is changing in the trading world, and it's just mind-blowing. So with no further ado, let's start. And I want first to introduce you. I wanted you to talk a little bit about yourself. Again, you were analyst in the past. How did you become employed by XM? What was your first role? I also know that you made the CFA license. Maybe talk a little bit about it. I think this is the best license you can make in the financial industry. It's very difficult to pass the tests. It's only a very small percentage who pass. So it's yours.
Yeah, thank you, Jill. So I've been in XM, I think this is my 9th year, going to the 9th year. So it's been a hot second. So I started out as a young analyst, let's say. By the way, I looked at our last Trader Talk session that we had, I think, in 2023. And it's only been 2 years, but I was a younger man back then. Like you could see that.
Me
Okay,
too.
In all seriousness, so I started at XM as an investment analyst. So writing articles about financial markets, recording videos, doing live sessions with you. And in general, the role was about informing clients about what's happening in the markets and then giving an analyst's take into price trends, whether they make sense, whether they're supported by fundamentals. As you know, I'm a very fundamentals-oriented kind of analyst and investor. But along the way, what I discovered is that you can't just look at fundamentals, or you cannot just look at technicals. You have to blend the two together. That's when really good decisions happen. Because sometimes you see a trend and you're like, okay, fundamentally that doesn't make sense. Or vice versa, you see something that fundamentally is very attractive, but the price hasn't moved yet. So you sort of spot opportunities when you combine the two types of analysis. That's what I've really tried to do over the years, and that's what I've tried to offer to the viewers as well. Now, the CFA qualification was a difficult one. I learned a ton of stuff during that journey, let's say. And basically, what that gives you is a 360 kind of view into a lot of aspects of the market. Some of those aspects you are never going to use, but just knowing that they exist can sometimes add a lot of value to you. So, for example, the options market and the power it has over the underlying instruments. And, there's a lot of other examples, but now to complete the career, let's say, biography, I switched the roles about 1.5, maybe 2 years ago to go into product management. And the transition was a relatively easy one. Why? Because XM was trying to integrate AI into its product offering. And we wanted to launch all of these new products that give traders access to AI, but we needed somebody to make sure that the markets, that the product aligned with traders' needs, let's say. So I was the person, I am still the person that's sort of making sure that whatever we launch and give to clients is specifically tailored for our client. That it makes sense that, let's say, we've launched a chatbot that answers, that does analysis for our clients. Well, how does the chatbot answer questions? Do the answers make sense? How do we improve it? That's sort of been my role over the last couple of years, and I'm very happy to say we've done it successfully, and we've got a lot of exciting things in the pipeline.
We will talk a little bit later about AI and in general what it means and where are still the difficulties. I want to go back one step back to your time as an analyst. Again, you did the CFA, you learned a lot of fundamentals, you learned a lot of theories. You mentioned also, and I find it quite interesting when you just mentioned that you learned a lot, but not everything you use. I exactly thought also about the option markets, because really you can learn so much and you can become an expert in so many fields. And really, there are people that are fully concentrated. I also learned about option markets, and when the spread is widening and you have all the Greeks within the option markets that can help you really identify when risks is going up or down. And I learned it, but I still don't use it, right? Because if you want to implement everything in the morning before you start to trade, there is not enough time.
You have to choose your battles, in a sense, Jill.
Absolutely.
But I don't remember who said it, but knowing what you don't know is one of the most important things you can have, especially in trading. So being aware of your lack of knowledge in certain subjects can often be the difference between a successful trader or investor versus an unsuccessful one. Having an awareness of what's out there, what can hurt you, what can benefit you. Now, obviously, nobody has perfect information. We work with uncertainty, and that's what makes a market.
Yes. So going back to the CFA program, what did you learn there? What are let's say, the big chapters? What do you learn? And again, is this, you said it's good to know it, but is it really helpful? Is it practical in a trader's or in an analyst's life, the knowledge?
Well, okay, that's a difficult question, but here's how I would phrase it. If you want to be a successful trader, you don't really want to do the CFA curriculum. It covers a very wide range of, so you start from ethics in the markets, and then you learn, so it's kind of legal, but beyond legal, how you should act morally as an investment advisor or as an analyst and so on. Then you go into financial reporting, which is a fancy word for accounting, basically. But it's really important because it teaches you how to read a company's balance sheet, how to understand if management is massaging the numbers or if they are being truthful about it. Then you go into subjects like alternative investments or options, corporate structures. It just teaches you a little bit about everything that's out there. So in a sense, you become a jack of all trades. So usually the phrase is a jack of all trades, but a master of none. Now you can be a master of one trade. So specifically for me, I learned all of the, let's say, 360, subjects. And then I specialized into currency analysis and stock analysis. But mostly for me, Jill, as you well know, because you do this every day as well, the tricky part is not just understanding something, it's understanding it well enough so that you can explain it in the simplest terms possible. And that's usually what separates somebody that knows something versus somebody that has mastered something. The person that has mastered something can explain something very complex in very simple, very straightforward terms. The the joke I always make is imagine you're talking to your grandmother or to a 10-year-old kid. Assume they don't know anything about the markets. Can you still explain that concept so that that person can understand it? If yes, then you really understand it.
I think this is very important. I think it's Richard Feynman, a physicist, a Nobel Prize winner. He said, if you can't explain it, you don't understand it. And I find this, I'm an expert at XM Life, and so I have to explain a lot. And I immediately understand if people don't understand what I'm saying, I don't explain it well. And that's probably because I don't understand it well enough. So I have to go back after the session and I have to learn it deeper. And that makes me a better trader. So actually, the opportunity to be an expert makes me a better trader because by explaining things, I understand better. So I totally understand what you're saying here.
You're absolutely on point. And sometimes just, even if you understand something, just talking it over with someone like you, a lot of times it helped me to structure something in my head and sort of clear up what's important and what isn't in a narrative. So look, it's fascinating. Analysis is fascinating. Trading is fascinating. But being able to communicate like complex concepts to non-technical audiences is a skill in itself. And it's one of the most valuable skills, I would argue, that an analyst or a commentator, in our case, can have.
So maybe this is a good place to make a bridge to AI, because often AI can explain us things quite simple, even though not always it's spot on. At least at the moment, it's not always 100%, but it makes our life easier. I can ask questions and I get this feedback exactly what you're talking about, that in the past I got from a human being. Now I get it from an AI. Let's start with the big topic. Now, we will talk about in the next 40 minutes about AI, because this is your job and you will hear introduce a lot also what the broker is doing. But let's ask the first thing, is AI a bubble?
But before we jump into, I'm gonna answer that, I promise. But let's take a couple of steps back. What AI is and what AI isn't. A lot of people have this sort of notion in their head that AI can read their mind, right? They go and ask a chatbot something, and it's like, no, that's not what I wanted, and so on. AI is a tool, right? And like any other tool, it's only as good as how you utilize it. And by that, I mean, there's all kinds of little tricks that I could even mention a few about how to use AI. So you mentioned, AI doesn't always print correct information. Absolutely, that's a huge problem in the industry. There are, though, ways that you can mitigate that. So, for example, you ask a chatbot something, and then you finish your question with cite sources. Tell me where you found this information.
Mm-hmm.
Once you add that little line into your prompt, you are going to notice that the result quality starts to improve quite a lot, and that hallucinations start to drop quite a lot. Or another popular one. A lot of people go to AI and they ask it to do math for them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, AI is not really good at math, hence the term language models. Now, these models are really good at matching words together, given some context and predicting the next most likely word in a sequence of words. They are up. Think of it like auto suggest, like what Google used to have, that it, you went to search something and it like came up with suggestions as you typed. It's a much, much better version of that. So going back to mathematics, if you go and ask a language model to do math, yeah, it's gonna do them, but a lot of the times it's gonna do them badly, especially if you ask for complex maths. Now, one trick around that is to tell the model, do this kind of math equation, show all calculation steps. Now, the fact that it has to print all of your calculation steps means that the chances that it hallucinates, that it prints wrong information, the chances of that drop. Do they drop to zero? No. But they improve quite a lot in your favor. So this was a huge way of saying AI is only as good as what you make of it. It doesn't read your mind. You have to be specific about what you want. You have to be specific about how it should answer you. And if you start doing those kind of little tricks, then what you get out of AI is much of quite high quality. And like we've been discussing between us, it really helps to boost productivity. I mean, something that used to take me 8 hours to do, I can probably do in 3 hours using AI right now. So to go to your question, and let's begin the really big topic, is AI a bubble? Hot take, I don't think it's a bubble, and I think you share a similar opinion. Now, let's answer that. Why is AI not a bubble? Well, there's a lot of reasons. The bigger one, and okay, this is going to sound a bit funny, but bubbles don't happen, historically speaking, bubbles don't happen when everyone is on the news every day asking if something is a bubble. Bubbles usually sneak up on you. Bubbles happen when everybody is convinced that this is not a bubble. So that's point number one. Point number two is that if you look at previous bubbles, there are similarities, but you also get the sense that we are not there yet. What do I mean? Well, let's take an easy one, valuations.
Yeah.
So valuations in the markets, I'm sure you discuss this very, very often in your sessions. Are valuations cheap today? Absolutely not. Valuations are quite expensive. But are they at bubble kind of levels? I don't know. Like, it's a very expensive market. It's historically expensive, but I wouldn't call it a bubble. And then you start digging into that. Let's take the biggest example of a bubble that we have in recent memory, the 1996 to 2000 internet bubble. Now, back then, that has a lot of similarities with AI, right?
Yeah,
Because
it has.
like with the internet, we knew that this is going to revolutionize the economy, how we do business, how we interact with each other. And we knew that in 1998, and all of that happened. But in the meantime, we had a big bubble and a bursting of that bubble and so on. So
And not only that, maybe that I add, not only that it burst, but if you look today, it's much higher than it was in 2000. So you could argue it wasn't a bubble. We just had a decade of a drawdown before it got higher. You know?
Well, a decade is a long time to wait, but yes. Okay, so are there similarities with 1999? Absolutely. But here's the biggest difference, I would say. Back in 1999, it was more hype than AI is today, meaning that you had a lot of companies listing, going public in 1999 that had no product, no revenue, no customers. They just created, like pets.com is the best example of this.
Just wanted to mention that.
Yeah. So you had a lot of situations where a company went public, they had like a domain that was like .com, and automatically the stock went up 10 times, 20 times. And you're like, that doesn't really do we have situations where valuations are out of control? For sure. Tesla, Palantir, like you've got this and several other growth stocks. So you have a lot of stocks that, yeah, the valuations are there. But when you look at the companies that are doing the AI spending, the Googles and the Metas and the Amazons, the Microsofts of the world, those companies are spending like it's an arms race, but they aren't borrowing the money to do it.
Yeah.
They are spending it from their own profits. Now, what that tells us is that it's not, like a group of young entrepreneurs that got together and then went into, started a company, then had to go and borrow money to sort of try this new idea. No, it's established companies understanding that there is a market, a huge market opportunity there, and they are trying to beat each other as to who gets there first. So it's an arms race, and it's a winner take all arms race, because the first company that gets to what is called artificial general intelligence, so a chatbot that is smarter than humans, you could say, and does things actually better than humans, there's a lot to be gained there, and not just economically, right? Think geopolitically, think militarily. If I've got an AI that is miles ahead of the next country, what kind of advantage is that? So you are in that arms race, but that arms race is not debt financed, it's profit financed, which is a very, very important distinction. Now, what else did we have?
But by the way, a small comment to what you said at the very beginning, that normally when there is a bubble, nobody calls it a bubble. I would say today it's a little bit different because we have the social media and everybody tries to be contrarians. So you have at every single time in history of somebody who calls to short the market. So I think it's a little bit more different than in 1999, where you had just, the classic media of television and radio, and there were few who did call the bubble. So I think that changed a little bit. But I think your argument with that the market today is not leveraged. It's absolutely not leveraged. They take from their profits. I think this is a very, very important factor to consider here.
Here's another super important thing. Let's say it even is a bubble. Let's say, okay, we all agree it's a bubble. The thing about bubbles is you can't really time them. So the best example of that is that in the months before the internet bubble burst, the market doubled in the 6 months before the bubble popped. So I can't remember the exact dates right now, but if the peak of the market was, let's say, March of 2000, then between September of 99 and March of 2000, the market doubled. Like in the last 6 months. So even if in 1998 or in 1999, you were like, oh my God, it's a bubble. If you got out and you were not invested, you would have missed out on like one of the biggest parts of the rally.
Yeah.
So the thing is, even if I'm more with you, I think we're still in the early stages of this AI, let's say, craze. And I think that the market can still go higher from here, even if we start saying it's an actual bubble. I don't think investors can get out, let's say you get out. If the bubble pops in 3 years, well, that's a long time, right? So it's almost impossible to time, and usually you need some sort of exogenous event, some shock to the system, or interest rates going higher. And we just had that. We just had a period of interest rates going higher, and the markets, after they fell for a year, then they started going higher again. So who knows what the future holds? You could have some big geopolitical shock or whatever else, but timing bubbles, as any seasoned investor will tell you, is one of the most difficult things you can do in the markets.
And by the way, if we talk monetary wise and fiscal wise, and I heard just a podcast from a macro hedge fund manager, and he said, listen, Germany will spend next year like crazy. The US, they just finish quantitative tightening and they will probably start quantitative easing. Japan has a new president and they will start to spend like crazy. South Korea have a huge budget for spending. He said, we are probably not invested enough in this area. Like everybody wants to spend like crazy at the moment.
This is the what Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, is saying as well. And he calls this sovereign AI, meaning that you need to spend on a public level, on a government level, for your security. You will need to invest a lot of money as a country in the next few years. And he's also talking about the concept of AI factories, meaning that like you need like an actual factory to produce the car or whatever else physical good you are producing today. Well, in 5-10 years, you're going to need the physical factory, but you're also going to need an AI factory that produces the tokens that make that car or that piece of equipment run. Like you're going to need to produce the physical good and the intelligence that makes the good run, in a sense, right? So are we invested in, I don't know, like I think this is going to be a multi-year trend, and this is just my own sense, but I think we're still maybe not in the early stages, but maybe somewhere in the middle of this whole process. I don't think we're approaching the ending, at least yet.
I also don't think, look, also in 1999, nobody really knew, like people thought, okay, we will start to share information. But people really didn't believe in 1999 that somebody really does online banking. Like this was, nobody thought, yeah, people talked about it, but most of the people said, I never will give my data to the internet. I never will give my credit card to the internet. It was like unimaginable for the most people. Today, 25 years later, everybody uses the internet and online banking and buying stuff over the internet and everything. With AI, it's just invented 2 years ago. It's only 2.5 years ago, and everybody already uses it. And I mean, I use it. I mean, when I do a presentation, I ask AI to make me the pictures. I don't have copyright issues anymore. If I write an email, I ask AI to write it better for me. I mean, very simple task, but I almost don't use Google anymore. I everything do, over the. It's crazy how things change, and productivity went up so much, and still AIs have a lot of flaws. And I'm very interested in talking to you, because my biggest challenge is, when I ask, okay, I want to know something about a company, what is his growth rate? And AI still don't know how to take the last quarterly report and compare it to the previous report. He takes just some historical reports and put the data together, and you can't trust it.
It's gonna get better, Jill. I mean, it gets better month to month, year by year. And my God, there's so much to talk about here. Because of my new role, I think we should sort of wrap up this subject, but
Yes.
because of my new role, I've also been involved in how the economics of the AI industry work. Meaning, how does why is OpenAI unprofitable, for example? We can go into a lot of detail, though those are really important concepts. So, what have I been working on for the last 1.5 years? Let's put it this way. We wanted to offer AI to our clients. Well, first of all, the company completely redesigned its, I don't know if we can call it a platform, the
Yeah,
mood
I
is that
think you can.
like the appropriate, okay, they call it a trading experience. Let's call it a platform for the purposes of our discussion. The company completely redesigned its platform. So we built our own platform, I'm very happy to say, from scratch. We did it in a record time and we launched it to all of our clients. I believe it was in September.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone right now has access, all of our clients have access to this new trading experience, which brings everything into one. You have your charts, you've got charting tools powered by TradingView, which I'm sure you know is like the gold standard right now in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And you've also got all of the, let's say, items, products, everything that used to be on a members area is now found on the platform. So you don't need to switch from web to application and so on. Everything you need to trade is found under one roof. You've got your platform having charts and trading capabilities, obviously, analysis capabilities, AI doing analysis for you, news, promotions, anything you like, depositing and withdrawing, all of that is just integrated into one. And let me share my screen and sort of show people what we've built. So this is on desktop, obviously. On mobile, it's even more user-friendly. So you've got your charts right here. You've got a lot of research, let's say, capabilities on the top of the chart, and you've got all of these menu items like explore to check out, top gainers of the day or top losers, instruments where there's the most long or short interest, and you've got all of these nice tools found under the more section: copy trading, competition, bonuses, our XM Traders Club, which is our loyalty program, and a lot of these tools, most of which I'm overseeing, let's say, such as market news,
Mm-hmm.
market analysis, economic calendars, widgets from Trading Central. You've got education materials, support, obviously, depositing and withdrawing. You can do everything on a single platform. But since we are focused on AI for the purposes of this section, let's look at what we've built. So, Jill, what you are looking at was what I spent my first year as a product manager trying to, well, not build but refine, perfect in a sense. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
AI, these kind of products, they are never perfect. They
Yeah.
are always a work in progress. They can always be improved. But I'm very happy with what we've built. What we have built basically is an AI market analyst. So think of what Marius, for example, used to do in the past, sort of uh, write an article about gold or Euro USD, give your opinion about something. Well, what our AI does is that it takes information already available on our platform. So, for example, price data, uh, volatility measures, or news and analysis, So news articles, analysis articles from our own analysts. It takes the economic calendar for important events, and it combines all of that to give you a nice sort of straightforward analysis about some instrument. Jill, tell me a regular question. Well, what should I ask our chatbot? Something market related, right?
Yeah. So here we have gold in front of us, which is interesting for every trader. Ask him what's happening with gold today.
So what it will likely do here is it will tell you how the prices have been moving. And then it's going to summarize the latest news that might have influenced these prices. And then it's usually going to give a short conclusion about that. This is longer than usual, I have to admit. I think there might be something.
Yeah, you know, always when you showcase stuff, this is
right. This shouldn't really happen. Let me check. Yep, okay.
Okay, here we have it.
So usually the response time is much shorter. So let's see. Gold has been showing a steady upward move recently with the latest price at so many dollars per ounce. The daily price range, which is something I love as a trader, knowing how much an instrument can move in one day is very important. Is 2.3%. Wow. Then it tells you where key support and resistance is. Again, very crucial pieces of information about traders finding the levels that you should be aware of. So I'm checking these levels manually, 42, 45. Yes, it's this peak from the 13th of November. 4,000, obviously, is a psychological level, and it was also our recent low from yesterday. So this makes sense. Gold is up over 1% today as investors seek safe haven assets amid risk aversion. This is linked to this event. And then you've got a link to the relevant article that you can check out. And it's also telling you about upcoming events. We've got Fed meeting minutes coming up today, apparently. We also have, and then gives you a short conclusion about what's happening. And you can imagine, you can ask it about any instrument on our platforms. You can ask just about prices, just about news. It's basically, Jill, it's an analyst that has much more information at its disposal than any normal analyst could ever possess in their brain, right? It saves our clients time. So in the past, if I'm trading, I was just on an MT5 platform, right? And I had to go to news sources, or I had to do my analysis manually. I had to spend out. You know this better than anyone. You had to wake up in the morning and read articles, and then read analysts, and then find the levels and so on. Now you can just wake up in the morning, open your platform, see your chart, ask AI what's happening, and you've got it right. It's a 1 minute, 2 minute process now to catch up with what's happening.
Can I also ask a general question like, can you make me a daily outlook for the market?
Meaning what?
Generally, like I got in the morning, I want to start to trade. I want to know what's going on. I just write, make me a daily outlook. What is happening today in the markets?
So what it's going to do in that case is it's going to go to the most popular list right here. So you see, these are the instruments that are most popular with our clients. And it's going to pull market news or, the latest prices based on this popularity list. So if you ask it something generic, like what's happening today in the markets or what's the outlook for today, what's likely going to do the AI it's going to come and say, oh, so the popular instruments are gold, Bitcoin, dollar, yen, euro USD, and the Nasdaq, and it might give you a short sort of analysis about all of those. Let's see though. I'm curious to see. Now, bear in mind, this bot also has a sense of history, right? So it knows what I asked it above.
Yeah.
So I asked it about gold. So most of the time, if you ask a generic follow-up question, so what's happening with gold today, and then something where you don't mention an instrument, it might say, okay, maybe it's related to gold still. So now that I asked it what's happening with gold today, let's see. So global stocks are under pressure, falling for a fifth consecutive day, mainly due to nervousness ahead of NVIDIA's earnings. So this is spot on, right?
Yeah, that's really good.
I mean, the S&P is down, European shares are slightly weaker. Okay, bonds, we don't really care that much about. Gold and commodities, gold is up. And currencies, Euro USD is relatively stable today. And then it talks about upcoming events. So this is a really, like, I'm very satisfied with this. If I was trading, this is, you're getting a sense, so a very high level sense of what's happening with the market in general. It's like, here's what stocks are doing, here's what bonds, gold, currencies are doing. And here's what can affect all of this, right? Here are the upcoming events that can create volatility in our market. And needless to say, Jill, the bot is very, very good with educational stuff as well. So let's say, tell me something, that you might explain on one of your sessions, some like core trading concept or something about the markets educationally.
Let's say, can you explain me the MACD?
The MA, the MACD.
MACD. By the way, we have a very interesting question of one of the viewers here, and he asks, does it know what I usually trade or my trading style, and can it give me a recommendation on that?
That's a great question. The short answer is not yet. This is something that we are working on adding, meaning that, so today the bot is just an analyst, right? It doesn't analyze the market. It doesn't know information about you, the user. It replies to all users in a similar way. But over time, what we want to do is give it some very basic information about the user. So for example, what does this user trade? Or how long does a user, what kind of time frames does this user look at, so that I can give you support and resistance levels that you care about. I mean, if you are scalping and you are trading a 5-minute chart, for example, well, you care about levels from the 5-minute chart. You care about different things than the person that trades the daily chart or the weekly chart. So to answer our user, unfortunately not yet. The bot doesn't know what the answers are not personalized, let's say, but it is something we want to add in a basic way. The bot will not know your name or personal information, but it might know what kind of assets you are more interested in, or what time or what type, what kind of time frames you are usually interested in. And of course, you
And just, can I add something? Because you showed me a little bit also a beta version before our session, and it in the future, it can show you which is your best trade, which trading day is good for you, and some statistics like that, right?
That will not be through the chat. That's a different
I
thing we're
understand.
working on. But really, it's very secret. You're giving away too much
I
information.
am
We
sorry.
want to keep it as a surprise for the people. But to explain what Jill was was just touching on, we have a lot of very nice products coming in the next few months and maybe in the next year. I'm sure our traders will be very happy with them because they take a trading experience that used to be generic and they start to personalize it, much like OpenAI does with
Hmm.
its models. Uh, we want to give our traders maximum value. We want to save them as much time as possible. We want to make their lives easier and we want them to open their platform and be happy about it, right? Like know that they're going to enter an environment where they can spend hours and sort of deep dive into stuff that there's a lot of content for them to absorb. So we are working on very nice stuff. Unfortunately, I cannot give too much away right now. What I can say is that the chatbot that we are looking at today will be will be improved quite substantially in the next few quarters. Now, Jill, with that,
But
I'm
by the way,
sharing
I
my
just
screen.
want to add here, for me, this is really great news because I didn't know that it exists already on the platform, you know. And I'm embarrassed about it that I didn't know about it. And I see that I can use it every single day. So I will start really to use that, asking in the morning what is happening in the markets, things that I'm interested in trading. You know, I have a weekly plan. I know exactly which products I want to trade every week. I can ask it every day what is happening, you know, with stuff that is would take me in the past many hours to analyze each morning. Now I can just get a summary. It's absolutely amazing.
Absolutely. I mean, look, because I approach this as a trader and as an investor, like I sort of understand what the end user wants because I am an end user,
Hmm.
right? So I want comfort, I want ease of access, I want a smooth UI, and most importantly, I want actionable information. I don't want something that tells me, this could happen, but then that could happen. No, I want matter of fact statements. And if I really want, if I push the chatbot to give me sort of deeper analysis and so on, yeah, it can do that as well. So to bring everything together, Jill, we started by saying, by giving my background as an analyst, then we talked about AI in general, what these models do, what they don't do, is this a bubble? And then now I just showed you, let's say, my baby from the last 2 years. What I have been doing mostly is adding logic to products like this chatbot. So, for example, basic stuff like you are an AI on a trading platform. You are not here to give cooking recipes, for example, or weather forecasts. You are here to help the users with trading and financial markets and analysis, education, and so on. Um, you are not supposed to write long essays for the users. Nobody, let's face it, we know this very well. People don't read anymore. Not
Hmm.
people don't like to read. People like short, actionable, interesting pieces of information. So, don't write long essays for the users. Write short stuff, write it in clear language, write it for audiences that may or may not be technical in their understanding of the market. And it's all of this little. So, another big one for us, because we are a regulated broker, of course, is don't give investment advice to the user.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
you can discuss maybe some educational examples, but you can't tell someone, buy here, sell there. That is outside of the scope of what you can do as a broker. So I've been sort of refining and adding layers of logic and complexity and safeguards, both for the company and for the user, behind this chatbot or other AI related products we have. I can tell you it's been fascinating. When I say fascinating, I mean it's it's a balancing act of, you want to add as much data as possible. But then if the chatbot is bombarded by data, it might put in too much to the user, or it might hallucinate because it's having conflicting pieces of information. Imagine it has access to all of the analysts, where one analyst says something, the other analyst says something else. Who's right? So you try to avoid these kind of situations, and you try to improve, iterate the AI to the point where our goal, our long-term aim, what I really want to do is to make this chatbot into a platform assistant. So take it from an AI analyst that helps you navigate the markets to an AI platform assistant that lets you interact with the platform, take actions based on what you've typed. That would be, or there's so many possibilities. Maybe in the future, you are going to be talking to your AI assistant and telling it to do stuff for you on the platform. There's so many possibilities. And honestly, the way the technology is moving, like it's improving so fast that like I'm sure my best ideas I haven't even thought of yet because the technology isn't there. I'm sure like in a few months or maybe a year, there's gonna be some new technological update and you're like, oh my God, we can use this to do this exciting kind of addition to the XM platform.
Marios, we already have to wrap up. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
The hour went so fast, but already when we talked before our session, we said that maybe we need to make a couple of sessions out of it because really this topic is so huge. And as you mentioned, and as we both actually agree that we are here not yet in a bubble, we are still in the early stage of AI. I mean, so many things will be possible in the future. It's totally crazy. Now, I'm extremely excited that you are the project manager of AI because, again, you have the fundamental knowledge and you were in different stations at XM. You know what a trader needs and you build a product that is really helpful. And I can see already now, even though we are in the early stage, it will help me personally so much. So this is really, really exciting. Yeah. Final words from you, Marios.
Well, it's been a pleasure as always, Jill. I'm very happy we got the opportunity, A, to catch up, B, to talk a little bit AI, a little bit about the markets, showcase what we've been working on over the last couple of years. The new XM platform is amazing and it's still it's still gonna see very substantial improvements, I think, in the near future. So I'm excited for that. For sure, we'll arrange another session to talk macro markets, maybe stocks, currencies. We have to do one of those. It's been too long. Until then, thank you so much for having me and for the opportunity to do this session, and we'll be in touch.
We'll be in touch. Thank you so much, Marios.